It's time for a regular review now. Brittany Howard, What Now? This is the second full-length LP from mega-talented singer, guitarist, songwriter Brittany Howard. At one point known as the vocally stunning frontwoman for the Athens blues, soul, and southern rock band Alabama Shakes, a great and beloved group that has been on hiatus since about the late 2010s, cause I guess Brittany has been focusing more on solo stuff. Her last swing at that was with the 2019 Jamie record, which did have a few duds in the track list, a few cuts that were maybe too lo-fi for their own good, but the record all around was still pretty solid and brought a lot of great highlights. And generally it was great to hear Brittany stretch beyond the typically vintage and throwback aesthetics that Alabama Shakes is usually known for. So yeah, while Jamie was not a perfect record, it did show a lot of promise in terms of a budding solo career. And I think What Now in a lot of ways is making good on the promises that Brittany's last solo LP made. Because not only is she hitting us with sounds and styles that I don't think any of us ever expected, but she's sounding bold as hell and masterful doing it too. I think that much was made clear by one of the lead singles to this record, Prove It To You, which was this pumping house cut with a lot of strong beats and grooves, wrapped in layers of textured, psychedelic instrumentation that had kind of a raw indie appeal. And this is a move that totally makes sense given the way Brittany is able to effectively straddle both the worlds of the mainstream and the underground in music. Combine that with the fact that there are so many amazing and classic house anthems that are topped with vocals that are either sampled from a soul song or inspired by soul as a genre. It's the kind of thing Brittany's passionate delivery and incredible vocal range was just made for. Now, of course, there are other tracks on this LP that will satisfy Brittany fans looking to hear her dabble in the past a bit. The song I Do sparkles and shines like a true blue old school girl group soul anthem with warm bass lines and campy, showy background vocals, a very soft focus too. It's exactly the kind of thing that allows Brittany to let her guitar and vocal chops fly with all of these gorgeous and subtle embellishments. The song To Be Still also pulls from a similar era of influence, but is a lot more low-key and funky. And all of this is a testament to how comfortable, confident, and creative Brittany is no matter what style or sound she's embracing in the track list here, showing growth not just as a songwriter, but a producer too, because that's a role she's been taking on more and more with her solo stuff. We have another stylistic change on the title track, which is this tight fusion of rock, pop, and 80s R&B. Feels a little Michael Jackson-esque at points, and Brittany most definitely has the vocals to pull that off. But it's not just a throwback, because the instrumentation also has this modern, fuzzy, raw aesthetic to it that keeps it from feeling like pure hero worship or an exercise in nostalgia. There are a few more modern sounding songs in the tracklist as well that also carry over many of these same production quirks, so it still results in a very cohesive album overall. Not to mention Brittany's killer vocal performances also provide a strong and wonderful through line from one end of the record to the next. Shout out also to the track Red Flags, which I was a little cold on as a single at first, but now that I've heard more of it, it is an interesting fusion of art rock and psychedelic music and neo-soul. Think Leanne LaHava's collaborating with Radiohead being produced by the Flaming Lips, except Brittany is bringing vocals that could blow any of those acts out of the water. No shade to any of them though, they are all great artists and I love them. But yeah, there's a linear enchanting progression to this track with its groovy and simmering lows, as well as orgasmic crescendos with all these layered up vocal harmonies, and the production gets even trippier on the opening track from this record, for example, too, which sounds like if you had Animal Collective orchestrating a Tune Yards cut. The instrumentation, the harmonies, the effects, it's an ornate display of sound play, really mind-expanding and kind of opens the record up, making it feel like it's a wonderland we're about to enter into. Conversely, the song SAMSON finds beauty in simplicity and near silence at points. It's the somber and most intimate moment on the record by far, and that emotion is reflected heavily in the lyrics too, which deals in feelings of indecision and longing, and the whole thing gradually develops into this semi-ambient, experimental instrumental jazz excursion, which is not an odd detour to take considering that many of the songs here end with these little bite-sized ambient interludes and outros that actually add quite a bit to the record's overall flow. The final leg on this LP is decent. We have more soul and psych rock fusion on the song Patience that has some really punchy drums, some killer catchy songwriting. Then The Power to Undo is one of the more vibrant, flashy, in-your-face songs on the record. Lots of out-there instrumentation, eccentric vocal harmonies from Brittany. It's a lot to take in, it's a lot of color, it's a lot of detail, but it's one of a few tracks on the record that to me feels maybe just a little too boxed in or claustrophobic or just cluttered, which I would also say is the case for the song Another Day, which I do like the sentiment of, the message of finding love and harmony among people in the world, hoping for that, vying for that. I guess I just wish there was more harmony and balance among the instrumentation. Then the closing track is another In Rainbows-esque art rock soul odyssey in 3/4 time and has some jazzy trumpets threaded throughout too. It has a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. Just what's perplexing about it is that it just ends out of nowhere when I would have really hoped for something big to finish off the record, especially considering how much tension was being built up across the track's runtime. But yeah, that's this record in a nutshell. It may not be the most conceptual or consistent album of all time, but it does show one of the best and most underappreciated singers out there today, producing, writing, and performing some of her best and most creative and colorful material to date, and a variety of interestingly embraced and executed sounds and influences, which is why I'm feeling a light to decent 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Brittany Howard, forever.